My name's Samantha Palmer. With my husband and I, we manage Samara Organic Farm. I have just been to Japan for the Via Campesina 5th Youth Assembly for Southeast and East Asia. The purpose of the assembly was for countries in Southeast and East Asia to get together and to enhance solidarity between those countries. The idea being that they share the issues and the struggles that they have in those countries, and then we share ideas about how to help solve those issues. And it's about coming together and finding ways of sharing and solving common issues amongst those countries. At the assembly, there was representatives from nearly all of the countries in Southeast Asia. There was Cambodia, Thailand, Indonesia, the Philippines, Japan, Vietnam, Australia. The only country that wasn't represented was Malaysia, but they do have an organisation in Malaysia. They just weren't able to get a representative there. I was lucky enough to be selected to go as an Australian farming representative. At the moment, Australia doesn't have a farming organisation that is part of Via Campesina, so I went as an observer to the assembly. There was a number of things that I did while I was in Japan. Because the host country was Japan, they really wanted to show the international delegates one of the big ongoing issues that they have in Japan at the moment, and that was to look at the Fukushima disaster. So one of the things that we did was that we went to visit Fukushima, and we went right into basically the red zone. Just an idea of how big that was. The amount of nuclear radiation is actually 17 times more powerful than Chernobyl and 20 times more powerful than Hiroshima, than the bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima. So it's massive. So I got to see basically firsthand the devastation in that area right around where the nuclear power plant was. And we actually got to hear from local farmers in that area, especially some of the local women, about the devastation that happened, like the loss of their houses, the loss of their farming lands, the loss of their family, and the loss of their livestock. Nuclear contamination. You can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't touch it, and it is just absolutely devastating. So it was really eye-opening and very heart-wrenching. The other things that we did while I was over in Japan were much more enlightening, much more happy things. The host organisation was Numarin, which is the farming organisation in Japan, and we got to join in with the Numarin Youth Summer Camp. So it was the young Japanese farmers coming together, and it was they got to hear from the international delegates, but they also shared a lot of their farming stories, some of the young Japanese farmers, and it was great to hear about the projects they have, very much looking into like biodiversity in their paddy fields and their rice paddies, and the new technologies that they're embracing as far as organic rice growing. So we got to share a lot of those stories, and it was lucky enough where they held that conference in Yamagata. The climate is actually very similar to the climate that I grow vegetables in Stanthorpe, in the fact that they grow apples, they grow pears, they grow grapes. So it was really nice for me because I had a connection with that kind of climate and to talk to them about it. The last thing that we attended was the 5th Regional Youth Assembly for Via Campesina for Southeast and East Asia. So that was really interesting. There's a lot of big issues out there affecting farmers in those countries, things like capitalism, land and water grabbing, free trade agreements and liberalisation of agriculture, corporate greed, big issues that can have devastating effect on family farmers. And it was really interesting to hear the reports from the farmers in the different countries, what their struggles were and what their issues were, but more importantly, what their organisations are doing about that. So all the positive things that they're doing, like all the different projects they've got going. It was very inspiring to hear the amount of effort that they're going to in these countries to help the farmers, because there's such big issues, but to help them get through that. They very much look at grassroots solutions. So they're looking for getting into the communities, working with those communities, and letting them help themselves, providing them with education and training, and letting them build up themselves. And there's so much innovation and creativity for farmers anyway. And also getting them together as a group and mobilising them and focusing on some of these issues so they can help tackle some of the big issues. One of the things that I found really interesting in listening to all these farmers was that every single organisation has a really big push towards organic farming and agroecology. All of the organisations are talking that language, and they're all talking about the training and and all the activities that they're doing to help farmers to move in that direction. So that was really inspiring. It was a youth conference, so there was a lot of energy in the conference. There was a lot of enthusiasm and creativity, and I think that's a real strength. When you get to listen to all the different countries, you come to realise that, yes, we are very different in our cultures and the way that we farm. But a lot of the issues are actually very, very similar. When you get down to the core root of it, we have a lot of very similar issues. And it's heartening to know that we can be very unified in the solutions that we have. First and foremost, nuclear is not an option. It is not a clean energy, and it can have absolutely devastating effects on communities, not just that are affected by throughout the whole country. Nuclear is just not an option. We all know that there are, some major issues facing farmers and agriculture the world over, and looking at those, it can be so completely overwhelming. It can be, you go, what can I do? It's just such a big issue. But it's nice that you can take heart from a lot of the things that I was hearing from these organisations, that everything contributes. It doesn't matter how small it is. Smallest actions can actually make a difference. So even though there are big issues, you can do something towards them. The other thing I learned, that farmers the world over are resilient and they are innovative. And when they are actually mobilised together and focused in a direction, they are a force to be reckoned with. Small is beautiful. Small family farms should not be discounted, and they should not be looked at as insignificant. There's a tendency in Australia, if you're small, you're insignificant, you can't make any difference. But there's such a lot of power, small and many, that's power and strength in that. We're not alone in our struggles. A lot of the time in Australia, because we do tend to be isolated from other people, we tend to think that we're facing these issues on our own. But even though the similar problems are being worked on in all these countries, and there's power in solidarity, and there's power in sharing those experiences and learning from each other on how to tackle it. And everyone brings different perspectives and ideas to the table, and it can be such a powerful thing to share that amongst the different people in different countries. I think for small family farmers, just because of the sheer scale of Australia, like I said, we do tend to feel quite isolated, and that we're facing a lot of these problems on our own. And there's a need for small family farmers in Australia and across Australia to actually connect with each other and to unite. So they can share and grow together, so they can problem solve together, and so we can come together and show force. Basically, small family farmers are the way of the future, so we need to be able to show that, and show that we are working together, and that's what our strength is. Some big thank yous. The people who got me to Japan in the first place, so Reciprocity and Food Connect. Thank you to you guys for selecting me and sending me. It's been a fabulous opportunity. I need to thank Numaran, the Numaran youth. They put such a lot of effort into the logistics and the organising for us to be in Japan, and taking us out on field trips and showing us their culture and the way that they farm. That was wonderful. It was great to connect with them in that way. So all the people within Via Campesina who made the youth assembly happen, a great big thank you to you. And I'd like to also say a great big thank you to the other international delegates who were there. I learned such a lot from talking to all the delegates from all of the countries. It was a great opportunity to just listen to the issues in those countries and to bring home a whole lot of new ideas from there. So thank you to everyone who is involved in the whole process. As part of our contribution, where everything contributes and helping to get farmers together, myself and my husband, who's also had the chance to just recently to be part of a Via Campesina meeting, we're going to be doing some meetings in the coming couple of months, where we're going to be talking about our experiences that we had, both Ray and his trip to Korea talking about free trade agreements, and myself talking about the 5th Regional Youth Assembly. So we'll be getting out into our local communities, and we'll be having doing a presentation of what we've learnt and about our experiences. We're also going to be showing, doing a viewing of a documentary that's come out of America, which is called Greenhorns, which is a really inspirational documentary about young farmers in America and how they are actually a growing number of farmers in America are these young farmers coming in. And that's something that's so important, and something that I'm very passionate about, is working out how to grow more farmers. So it'll be hopefully great to see everybody coming along to those meetings and listening to what we have to say.